A medical psychiatric treatment, and I believe that they're particularly valuable for patient populations that do not respond well to conventional treatments.
Diagnosed with terminal lung cancer, one would be hard-pressed to accuse Pam Sakuda of only wanting to get high.
The people who are waging the war on drugs have every interest in continuing to do so, because especially medicines like hallucinogens. And I think we all agree in these discussions that what they do is they allow you to change your perspective and to think outside of the box that you're closed into. And that's the last thing that this power structure wants, is for you to think outside of the box. In fact, they'd rather make your box smaller.
But here's an opportunity to have a truly religious experience, not hearing about religion, but to have that primal experience. Of course, your dad and his condition and all of his mindset, his rigidity would be highly unlikely to accept that.
The truth is, a sick person, a patient who is ill, should have the right to use anything that they can use that will help relieve their pain and suffering.
Because of my father's beliefs and the laws in Texas, I'll never know if naturally occurring drugs could have helped him through the most painful experience in his life. And in the end, like most Americans, he put his faith in Western medicine and lost his battle with cancer. My father lived an amazing life. He started with nothing and tirelessly worked his way to the top. And even though I didn't agree with his drinking, it was the way he chose to live. As far back as I can remember, my parents, like the rest of the World War II generation, all drank lots of hard liquor. Our country's psyche seems to be one fueled by alcohol, so it only makes sense that the drug war is against anything that threatens alcohol or tobacco.
When alcohol prohibition ended, it empowered a new group of entrepreneurs, the liquor industry. The tobacco industry has done a phenomenal job of jumping into the FDA and exempting its product from every single law that would have caused it to get off the shelf.
All my brothers, all them dead, my mom and dad, ain't everybody. Yeah, I'm the only one left. They was a drinker. They died with cirrhosis of the liver.
Everybody likes to sin. Don't you like to sin?
Yeah, all the time. I don't know.
Okay.
I never call that a difficult lifestyle. I just call it
It depends on how much sinning you do, Pilgrim.
Ever since my friend Bill died, I had done my fair share of consuming various substances. I thought I had escaped the addictive traits of my family, but for me the hook came in the form of pain pills. Not being able to afford rehab, while searching the internet, I found a new drug treatment that breaks the addiction to opium. It seems like being addicted is punishment enough. I can't even begin to imagine having the law involved.
I mean, how many people have you known in your life now whose lives have been affected directly by the drug war?
Many people. Good people, good talented people.
It makes as much sense to me to put this gifted actor Robert Downey Jr. in jail for his cocaine problem, and regretfully he certainly seems to have one, as it would have Betty Ford in jail for her alcohol problem. It's the same thing. But if Betty Ford or Robert Downey Jr. or you or I drive a motor vehicle while impaired by whatever drug you're talking about, be it marijuana, alcohol, cocaine, or whatever, that's a crime. Bring them to court, bring them to people like me, and we will address their actions. That's an appropriate use of the criminal justice system.
The media and the drug war have a long symbiotic relationship. During the last several years, Freeway Ricky Ross's legend continued to grow. A platinum-selling rapper using the name Ricky Ross tells stories that glorify Rick's life as a drug dealer. Ricky even had his own hour-long BET special, once again proving how a war-weary country has become immune to complete government corruption. However, in late 2005, Ricky did catch a break and got his sentence reduced down to a few years.
Ricky Ross is really a good guy who took advantage of an opportunity. He was an entrepreneur, but he's at the bottom of the food chain, so he went to jail. All the guys that violated the law, that ignored congressional sanctions on Iran-Contra, they're all in power. And George Bush A guy who never succeeded at anything and is certainly not succeeding at this presidency. A guy who stole 2 elections, who has committed at least 10 different impeachable offenses. He's president of the United States.
Basically facing an all-white jury, a white judge, a white prosecutor, white court reporter. So it's kind of like a white world. DA agents, they're all white. I mean, in my whole case, I don't think that I've had one black person other than the probation officer in my whole case. I think that the drug war is the last white hope. When you break it all down and you look at it from the ground.
From a federal prison.
Look, I have come more than 180 degrees. I worked narcotics in South Central Los Angeles. Now I am completely and totally in favor of decriminalizing all drug use, period. Drug addiction, like alcohol addiction, is not a criminal problem. It's a medical problem, a social problem, a spiritual problem.
Here we go. But, you know, the money incentive behind the drug war is so great that, you know, to shut this big machine, that rehab machine, prison machine, felonization machine, this whole other, you know, thing that they have going down is going to take a real revolution.
But Emiliano Zapata once said, you know, I'd rather die on my feet than be living on my knees for the rest of my life.
The next big step is the people refusing to pay taxes or to re-elect people. In fact, I see 80 million Americans getting themselves organized to the point where they can tell Congress that if it doesn't dramatically reduce what we spend on a heavy metal military, on secret intelligence, on prisons, which are actually slave farms, then these people will be fired.
Are you ready for order?
Give me 2 waffles, 1 breast, 1 side order of grits.
Today's headlines solely focus on the war on terror, a war they say could last 100 years. But what does this mean for the future of the drug war?
The feds are listening. You're going down if you use this phone.
You should be much more afraid of First Data Corporation than of the CIA. It's private organizations that are cataloging everybody's information.
They don't need warrants now to tap your, well, they never did for cell phones, but they don't need warrants to tap a lot of your electronic communications, which are not secure.
I've been violated all my life, so it don't matter.
There goes the Fifth Amendment. There goes the Fifth Amendment and the Sixth Amendment. Somebody didn't like that.
Them coming out admitting it is just an admission of guilt. So life goes on. Life goes on.
Back in Sheriff Joe's jail, the daily grind goes on. And in all honesty, as much as I wanted to hate Joe Arpaio, I was glad that some of the inmates I met were not living on my street.
March time, march! 80% of the cops shot in this area were shot because people are high on drugs. So we want to give drugs to everybody. Let them all shoot the cops.
Growing up during Nixon's drug war, I can't even imagine how life would be without this drug prohibition. I often wonder who in my family might still be alive had they used naturally occurring drugs for both their medical and recreational needs. The government claims that the future of illegal drug use is heading towards synthetics, such as prescription abuse and crystal meth. This man lives in the most drug-infested area of Amsterdam.
Much crystal meth here?
No, I never heard about crystal meth.
And what is it?
Speed.
Speed?
Yeah.
Okay.
In a place that has adopted a more Christian value towards organic substances that come from the earth, synthetic drugs like crystal meth are almost non-existent. Do you want your future to be this? Or to stay on a pathway that allows a greedy few to profit from the felonization of sick people?
It's a free-for-all on the street. Your kids can go and buy heroin and cocaine easier than they can get cigarettes and alcohol. So there has to be some control.
We're not going to legalize drugs. We're not going to do it. You know, we have actually done a terrific job in the United States reducing drug abuse. It's true.
No one talks about making cigarettes illegal. So they're not protecting people. They're not protecting society. I can drive stoned, I can't drive drunk, but alcohol's legal because I don't know how to make whiskey. Do you know how to make whiskey?
Okay, put your hands in your mouth. Turn around and wrap it. Okay, I'll take a bite.
Delicious. Tastes like weed, dude.
If it wouldn't have been money in drugs, I never would have been involved. But for me, it was a way to get out of the ghetto. It was a way to have the American dream.
Well, my message to Ricky is, man, the world's great when you get out here, man. And, you know, just keep your head up. I miss you, man, and you're going to be okay. He's been fine all these years. I mean, Ricky's got a real good sense of self. I love him, man. I really love Ricky Ross. I think he is a great person.
Ricky Ross is doing George Bush's time.
Bass, main, bass, shooter, blow. Get higher, baby. Get higher, baby. Get higher, baby. You don't ever come down. Free bass.
And what are your opinions about drugs like mushrooms and ecstasy?
I love mushrooms. Why, am I violating the law eating mushrooms?
No, listen,
what the...
White flies.